Lately, I've been thinking about something. I used to read a lot, like really a lot. Books are a big part of my everyday life. I would start one and actually finish it. But over the last couple of years, that changed. I still buy books, I still get excited about them, but I don't finish them anymore. Sometimes I don't even get past a few pages. And I kept asking myself, why? I think life just got busy, or maybe I got used to shorter content, like faster content, things that don't require a lot of focus. But I miss that feeling, the feeling of getting lost in a book, taking time with it, actually sitting with the words. So I thought instead of trying to fix it in my head, I'll just start in a simple way. I already spent time on these drives. I already record them, so why not use them or this time to read? Not perfectly, not with pressure, just consistently. So from now on in these videos, I'll be reading books I want to finish, slowly, page by page. And maybe this way I'll get back to something I really enjoyed. If you are someone who also struggles to stay consistent with reading, maybe you can join me in this. Let's see how it goes. Today, I'm starting with The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. So, I'll start with introduction. My story. At the age of 41, I found myself 800,000 in debt, unemployed and watching my husband's restaurant business crumble. It felt like we had failed at life with no hope of ever escaping the debt. To deal with the anxiety and self-doubt, my main strategy became avoidance. Avoid getting up by hitting the snooze button. Avoid the pain with alcohol. Avoid responsibility by blaming my husband. Avoid looking for a job by procrastinating however I could. I enviously watched as my friends found success after success in their careers while we struggled to get groceries on the table. I had just been laid off and had no idea what to do with my life. I'd already tried being a public defender for the Legal Aid Society in New York City, being a lawyer in a large firm in Boston, working for a few startups, doing business development at an advertising agency, becoming a life coach, hosting a call in radio show, and even opening a small paint your own pottery studio. I felt completely lost, like nothing I did would ever be enough to dig us out of the hole we are in. If you've ever been in this situation, you understand how monumental even the simplest tasks seem. Getting out of bed, opening your bills, being fully present with your family, cooking a nice meal, applying for a job, going for a walk, canceling that subscription, or even just being honest about the extent to which you are struggling. Everything feels impossible. Every morning when I woke up, the anxiety was coursing through my veins, and I thought, is this really what it's going to look like for the rest of my life? But you want to know the funny thing about being stuck? I knew exactly what I needed to do. Get up, tackle the dreaded pile of bills, get the kids ready for school, make myself go on walks, reach out to my friends for support, make a budget, find a job, and yet I couldn't seem to do any of it. So, how I changed my life? I'll never forget the morning when everything changed for me. The alarm went off, and there I was, lying in bed, completely overwhelmed by our problems. Like so many of us, I was paralyzed by my own thoughts, and the last thing I wanted to do was get up and face another day. But then something strange happened. A thought popped into my head, and that would ultimately change my life. It was so simple, almost silly. I remembered watching a rocket launch and the way NASA counted down to blast off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I thought, what if I just counted backward like that and launched myself out of bed? It seemed ridiculous, but I was desperate, so I gave it a shot. I counted backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I got out of bed. Just like that, I didn't think about how tired I was or how much I didn't want to face my problems. I simply moved before my brain had the chance to talk me out of it. It's like launching a rocket. Once you start the countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, there's no turning back. At this point in my life, I was so used to letting my thoughts paralyze me and fear and stress consume me that the concept felt completely foreign. I remember what a revelation it was when I thought to myself, wait a minute, I can feel horrible and still do what I need to do? Yes, Mel, you can. And it worked. In those 5 seconds, I had interrupted the cycle of overthinking. It felt like a small victory, and it was also a revelation. If I could push through those 5 seconds of fear, maybe I could push through anything. So I began counting backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anytime there was something I needed to do, but I didn't feel motivated to do it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up when the alarm rings. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick up the phone and start networking to find a job. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the wheels that had been piling up for months. I started calling this countdown technique the 5-second rule. It's so simple. The moment you have an instinct to act, you have to physically move within 5 seconds or your brain will talk you out of it. Just start counting backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and move. Take action before hesitation kicks in. Here's why it works. Counting backward requires focus and snaps you out of autopilot, giving you just enough of a push to get going. It helps you power through fear, doubt, or procrastination. Every time you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it is like tipping the first domino. Momentum kicks in and boom, you are no longer thinking about what you need to do. You are already doing it. And the best part, once you start moving, it's way easier to keep going. One 5-second move at a time, I force myself to put one foot in front of the other and slowly step back into my life. I won't lie to you, it wasn't easy. The next couple of years were among the hardest of my life. It's not easy to claw your way out of debt or face the painful issues in your marriage. It's not easy to quiet the anxiety or push through the self-doubt. It's hard to update your resume and look for a job when you question the value you bring. It's a grind to force yourself to get back in shape and create healthier habits after you have let yourself go. And it's definitely not glamorous to work all day, then come home, take care of 3 kids, spend a few minutes with my husband, and then stay up late every night trying to figure out ways I can make more money. But that's what I did. The 5-second rule taught me that action is the answer. Thinking about your problems will never solve them. Waiting around to feel like doing something means you will never do it. It taught me that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself from yourself. You have to force yourself to make little moves forward all day, every day, especially when you don't feel like it. Using 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I pushed through the excuses, the anxiety, the overwhelm, and the fear. And step by step, day by day, week by week, I slowly took the actions that put my life and career back on track. My husband started using it to push himself to face the issues in his business head on, and it worked for him too. But it would be another 3 years before I told anyone else about the 5-second rule. I had been reluctant to share it with anyone because first, I didn't know why it worked, and second, I didn't feel like I was in a position to give anybody advice. But that all changed one fateful day when an old roommate recommended me as the perfect person to give advice on career change at a small event. I suppose she thought of me because I had changed my career so many times, even I had lost count. The event offered to fly me and my husband to San Francisco and put us up in a hotel. When you are struggling financially, that sounds like a free vacation. So I said yes. This was the first time I had ever given a speech on a stage at an event. The only public speaking class I had ever taken was in high school, and as soon as I boarded the plane, that's when the panic started to sink in. What on earth have I gotten myself into? When I walked on stage and saw 700 people in the audience staring back at me, my mind went blank and I could feel my chest and neck turning red. I then proceeded to have a 21-minute long anxiety attack on stage. About 19 minutes in, I forgot how to end my talk on career change. So I blurted out the 5-second rule and how I use it because I couldn't think of anything else to say. I must have blacked out because I also don't remember the part where I gave everyone in the audience my email address. And as I walked off that stage, I thought that was the worst experience of my life. Thanks God it's over. It turns out that small event was one of the first TEDx conferences ever held. They filmed it and a year later posted the video online. Not only did it go viral, it's become one of the most watched TEDx talks of all time. The 5-second rule and its 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown spread by word of mouth around the world. As it spread, people started to write to me at that email address, sharing stories about how the rule was changing their lives. I was so moved by people's stories that I would sit up late at night after I had put out 3 kids to bed, answering their emails one by one. When I had been drowning in my problems, I felt like I was the only one who had trouble doing the things I needed to do. It's not true. We all struggle with motivation. It's a universal problem, and the 5-second rule seems to be a solution that not only works for me but also works for people all over the world. The stories are amazing. People had used 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to push through fear, procrastination, and excuses to change jobs, lose 100 pounds, get sober, launch and sell businesses, improve their health and marriages. The medical and clinical uses blew me away. Doctors and psychologists are using it to treat PTSD, OCD, and depression. Even as I am writing this introduction, we have heard from over 1,000 people who have asked the 5-second rule to stop themselves from attempting suicide and to ask for help. As the TEDx talk became more and more popular online, I started getting invited to speak at other small events. I remember being asked to talk to a group of realtors at a bar. It was embarrassing standing there with a beer in my hand trying to talk over the music and people gabbing in the next room. I spoke in church, but I survived. I spoke in church basements, a high school classroom, then a friend's brown bag lounge at work, and it just grew from there. I would break out in hives as I held the microphone, and I wasn't getting paid. But the more I talked about the rule and saw how powerful it was for everyone who tried it, the more I became obsessed with understanding why such a simple hack could lead to such profound results. So I put my lawyer hat on and started researching habits, human behavior, and the science of motivation. I needed to make a case. Why does counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 work? I gathered evidence from the experience of ordinary people who had been using it. I found compelling precedent from the accounts of therapists, addiction specialists, and medical doctors who had begun recommending it to their patients, and all the evidence pointed to a small explanation. Small, consistent action changes everything. Meanwhile, my friends and extended family had no idea what I was doing because I was too scared to tell them. Mel, giving advice? Give me a break. She nearly destroyed her own life. At this point in my story, my husband had left the restaurant business and was struggling with depression. We were still drowning in debt, so I was working a full-time job to try keep our family of 5 afloat while dedicating nights and weekends to speaking at small events and basically writing a dissertation on the science of motivation on the side. I knew I wanted to teach the 5-second rule full time and somehow make this my career, but I didn't know how. Looking back, I can see how paralyzed I was with imposter syndrome. What right did I have to call myself an expert in anything? I suppose I was just waiting for some kind of permission to put myself out there. Maybe you are doing that right now, waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready or a little less afraid, waiting for someone to come along and tell you that today is the day to start. The problem with waiting is no one is coming. The only permission you need is your own. Deciding to get serious about trying to make money as a motivational speaker was one of the best decisions I have made in my life. I'll share more with you what led to this breakthrough in the pages of this book. Once I started getting paid, I put every dollar toward chipping away at our debt. The first year I gave 17 paid speeches. The next year it was 47 and I was able to quit my day job. I couldn't believe what was happening. By the third year it was 99 speeches plus a 24 city tour with JP Morgan Chase. I had become the most booked female speaker in the world. I was being hired by companies I admired. How did this happen? By forcing myself out of bed on those mornings I didn't feel like it. Learning how to push yourself to take action when you are afraid or full of self doubt or overwhelmed with excuses is a life skill you can learn. Once you master it, you will understand that you can achieve anything through small, consistent moves forward.